So, your social life, give me that. Any individuality, tattoos, piercings, hair color, even earrings, not going. You're gonna hate most, if not all of your coworkers. Oh, and I'm only gonna pay you enough to afford a new t-shirt and a 4 for $4. But, I do pay you though, so, yeah?
Hello everyone, this is Emmanuel Cook. We will be reacting to a new video today, so make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's get into the video.
So I just received an email about the minimum wage updates, right? And baby, I'm hot. I don't know what to say. First of all, federal minimum wage is still $7.25. Of course, that changes depending on what state you're in, if they want to follow the federal, if they want to follow their state. So Alabama, $7.25. Alaska currently is $11.91. Beginning 7/1 to be $13. Arizona is $14.70. Arkansas $11. California is $16.50. California fast food workers though is $20. Colorado is $14.81. Connecticut is $16.35. Delaware is $15. District of Columbia is $17.50. It begins $18 on 7/1. Florida is where I'm at. They added a fucking line. $13 until 9/29 of this year. And then it'll be $14. Just crazy. Just crazy. Let me see. Kentucky is $7.25. That's wild. Louisiana is $7.25. Let me see. Ohio, which is where I'm from. Let's see what theirs is. $10.70. That is crazy. So the list I'm looking at, it looks like California has the highest minimum wage, which is $20 for fast food workers and $16.50 for everybody else. Crazy. They crazy. This is crazy. Like, no one, if you're making less than $18 an hour, I don't even know how you're surviving. I wouldn't be able to survive on $18 an hour, but I'm thinking that's probably like the least that you could probably survive on. But $7.25 and $8.75, like, y'all are fucking crazy. I can't believe Florida is on $13. You know how expensive it is to live down here? $13 for minimum. Baby, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Most people know that the system is broken, but the system can't be fixed by not tipping your servers. And the same people that are complaining that servers should find another job, well then who's going to be our server? And then people are going to be complaining that people don't want to work anymore. I mean, it's a vicious cycle. Yeah, things need to happen, but not tipping someone's not going to fix it. And so many people are saying I was begging. I asked a simple question. Yeah, I knew what I was doing, but I wasn't like, bro, tip me. I said, was my service okay? And then he lied. So anyways, that's all I'm going to say on the matter. I'm done. Best of luck, keyboard warriors.
Minimum wage should be at least $30 an hour. Actually, I'm kidding. Here's a comprehensive list of people that owe you anything in life. If you chose to accept a job offer at $7.25 or whatever the minimum wage in your state is, that is your fucking choice. It is not your employer's responsibility to increase your wage because you feel like you need it. It is not their responsibility to increase the price of the end consumer so that you can have more sustainability for doing minimum effort. If you want more money, go find it like people have done for decades. It is not anybody else's responsibility for your situation but yours. I want to know in what world you'd think it's justifiable to pay somebody flipping burgers at a fast food restaurant the same money as an EMT. It's not. I don't even care that it's a multi-billion-dollar corporation that you're working for. You still agreed to the wage that you started at. It's your fault. You can't even use that the housing market's expensive and that things are getting more expensive. Things are getting more expensive because you're still making $300 a week as a 35-year-old, and now you have a fucking $400 a month car payment. You're living above your means, and you're not doing anything to better yourself. I don't even care if you're offended. I'm a felon. I'm not on any government-subsidized income. I have a car, I have a house, and I have food in my fridge. If I don't have an excuse to work my way up and continue to better myself, you sure as fuck don't.
Minimum wage jobs are not just entry-level jobs designed for teenagers. And I know this because if that were the case, then all these minimum wage job businesses, your McDonald's, your Taco Bells, your fast food gas stations, HEB, all of that, they would be closed from the time they close at night till about, 3 o'clock, 3:45 p.m. the next day. During school hours, where teenagers are most of the day. People complaining about raising the minimum wage are petty motherfuckers. Like, if you raise the minimum wage, then that would force your companies to raise your wage, because why do all your hard, complicated work when you can just go bag groceries?
I just moved to Texas like a couple months ago. How come no one told me $7.25 an hour is the minimum wage here in Texas? It's 2025. How is that even possible? $7.25 an hour? $7.25 an hour? Are you for real? The highest paying job I can find is like $10, $11 an hour. What am I supposed to do with $11 an hour? I have kids, 3. So here I am door dashing because I feel like I can make more money door dashing. Or I wish I would have done my research, because this is crazy. Like, I just don't see how they expect people to live off of $7.25 an hour. Even $10, $11 an hour. That's crazy. And they say everything's bigger in Texas. The pay isn't. I might just go back to selling burritos. It's really the only way out at this point. So, stay tuned.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. It might be at that time niggas gotta do illegal shit to get paid, bro. These jobs ain't paying enough to make ends meet. I go to a motherfucking store, I get 3 items, that shit $200. How the fuck am I gonna get all this shit that I need, bro? And it costs this damn much. Like, bro, these jobs paying $15 an hour. What the fuck am I gonna do? Grown ass man getting $15 an hour. What the fuck? Y'all niggas making us minimum wage peasants in this bitch, bro. Working through slavery and shit, bro. Making $15, bro. That's some motherfucking high school shit, bro. Y'all niggas better start over better pay. Y'all niggas making $1 billion a whole motherfucking year, paying us $15 an hour. Nigga, what the fuck? Deal, have us working like all motherfucking day, then we can't take no days off in this bitch, bro. Like, what the fuck y'all niggas even want us to do, bro? I don't know what the fuck, bro. This shit's so...
Anyone who disagrees with upping minimum wage should be forced to work for $7.25 an hour. You should be forced to work for $7.25 an hour. And not just your cushy little office job where you sit and do nothing and just be a Karen. No, you should work retail, you should work food service. You should put your body on the line. You should actually fucking work for once in your life, and you make $7.25 an hour. Yeah.
Right, I want to talk about minimum wage, and for all of the people that were slightly above the minimum wage bracket before Labour got in of £11.44, if you were slightly above that, say you were 2-3-4% above that, have you still got that 2-3-4% above minimum wage now? Or have you been put onto minimum wage, which is £12.21? So in real terms, they've taken a pay cut. What type of bullshit is that? Now, this is all a knock-on effect, like we said it was going to be, for the businesses that are having to fork out hundreds of thousands of pounds more per year for the hike in the business rates, or the drop in the relief of the business rates that they used to get, the hike in the employer's national insurance. Now it looks as though the people that should have been on somewhere of 13-14 quid an hour, they're back down onto minimum wage, which basically means the whole fucking system is now a false economy. You got people that were 5% above minimum wage now on minimum wage. You've made the fucking situation worse. Your water rates are increasing, your electricity's going up, the council tax is going up, the mortgage rates have inflated. And everybody knows that you've got to earn more in order to keep up with your fucking payments. But no, people in that grey area are now on minimum wage. Might I say skilled people as well. We're just over a month in from this shower of shit. Employers are passing down their issues to their employees, and the employees now aren't getting the pay rises that they deserve, so they can simply keep the fucking heads above water. And like I say, this is about 2 months in, it's going to get much, much fucking worse. They should remain 10% above minimum wage. And like I say, employers are having to do this simply for the fucking increases of everything. Rachel Reeves, this lies at your feet.
In my humble opinion, I think that the minimum wage should actually increase at the rate or even higher than the inflation rate. And if that were the case, minimum wage would be at about $22 to $24 an hour. But it's actually not, because it was not keeping up with the rate of inflation. And so the pay is like so low now, and it will probably never catch up at this point. And the value of the dollar is obviously not as strong as it was in the past. And especially after COVID, things really took a huge turn for the worse.
I saw a TikTok of a woman saying that she was happy that Trump was about to raise minimum wage to $25 an hour. And I want y'all to know what that entails, because as a person that makes $26 an hour, I make the same amount of money as someone who makes $13 an hour. We both work the same shift, same hours. The difference is I'm in a different tax bracket. More taxes comes out of my check. So really the only difference is like maybe $150. And that $150 is my gas money to get to work, because the people that make $26 an hour are working in warehouses, and they have to drive 30 minutes outside of where they live to go work at said warehouse to make their little $26 an hour. Y'all think that is good, and it's really, really not. Taxes, over $500 is taken out of my check every 2 weeks. Y'all don't want these problems. And then shit just about to get high. Is that you? I love when an employee at a store is like in a surly mood. Like they're never at the counter, and then they come up, like you're waiting there for like 5 minutes, and they come and they start like being rude. Or they're just like, hi. And like they just want you to know that they hate you, and like they start like moving your shit in a weird way. And you're like, okay. First of all, I'm not mad at you. I will wait up there for 7 minutes, and I'll read the tabloids and find out why Brad Pitt's been in hiding. Even though I do not care at all. And I know this mood because I used to work in a restaurant, and when you take too long to come up to people's table, they'll be like, like they have this bad attitude that's like, do you know how it feels to be kept waiting? And I'm like, no, bitch, because it would never be me. I would like do a crossword puzzle, count all the wigs in the room, talk to the person I'm with, maybe. So I'm not gonna get mad at you, babe, for being slow, because you're not getting paid enough to like actually care about this job. So do you. Also, don't forget, when this happens to you, it's not you they hate. They just hate their job, probably. That's all. I also feel like if you just let it ride, it just lets them blow off steam, and they'll probably be nicer to the next person, like possibly. Like, do you want to like slap me on the wrist? Do you want to choke me, babe? Go ahead. Wait, but first, what's the safe word?
Is there anybody out there that knows how to pay over the age of 30? Oh, your card reader's not working. It's asking for a tip. Do I swipe, tap, or insert? Read it!
A quick reminder, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's continue the video.
Do not judge me. I did not know. I'm not trying to sound insensitive. I hope this does not come off as stupid. Reserve your judgment. I'm in a state of shock. Okay. So I'm writing my employee handbook for my spa. I've gotten to the employee benefits portion, which is very exciting for me. I'm attempting to make sure that what I put in the benefits aligns with employee work, rights. So I'm looking up labor laws. So in the video, they're saying, consult with their attorney if you have this, if you have that. They're talking to employees about their rights. They say ultimately visit the Department of Labor website. I'm like, I can't even get my words out. They have on the website is a minimum wage, right? I don't know what the freaking minimum wage is. Every state is different. So in my handbook, I want to give people wages even if they're not at work. I want to be able to, like, if you need a mental health day, I would like for you to still categorize that as a mental health day. It's capped annually, so you can't abuse it, but you can still expect to get wages, because I want to reward people for taking care of themselves. Anyway, so I'm looking what is legal, what is not legal, what can I say, so on and so forth. I go to the website, I look up the state list for minimum wage, and my jaw hit the ground. And you might say, Mariah, where have you been, girl? Well, for 16 years, I've been in the Air Force. Okay. So I don't know. I really don't. I didn't know. Why is the minimum wage in Alabama, Georgia, and I'm pretty sure Wyoming, $5? $5? So I went to Cheesecake Factory last night. The carrot cake, which is one of my favorite desserts, is $10. You mean to tell me to afford one piece of carrot cake from Cheesecake Factory, somebody has to work 2 hours of their lives? 2 hours of someone's life is barely worth the price of a piece of carrot cake? a slice, not even the whole cake, just a slice. Then I saw, well, the minimum wage across America is $7. $7. I think in some, like Hawaii is like 14, but it's expensive to live there. Washington's like, I don't know, it's higher. Vermont is higher, but these are more expensive areas, pockets of our society to live in. So that would make sense that it's, once you look at the cost of living in comparison to the minimum wage, even if the minimum wage is $14, $16, it's still poverty line. But to know that this is on purpose, that is what's getting me. That's the part that really does it for me, because this is done on purpose. They want to make sure you can barely afford food. And because I said to myself, who survives off of this? And then I realized survival's not the point. The point is sub-survival. The point is we need you to be so dependent. You can't do shit. At least not in a place that you own for yourself. Not, and then I thought, people have kids. People have parents that they might be supporting. They have lives, they have children, they have needs. I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna make sure that we do better. But I am taken aback, so much so. This has disrupted like the last 20 minutes of my workday, of my productivity, because I literally cannot wrap my mind around whose job is that? Who is that for? Who is that for? Because it can't be an adult with responsibilities and debt from trying to go to college and better themselves. Could not possibly. What the hell is going on?
Those jobs are for the people who are very desperate. They will take any job at this point. That is what those jobs are for. They're for people in bad financial situations, unfortunately. And these employers know that it is just hard to find a job right now, and so they are taking advantage of the occasion. They're taking advantage of it. They know that a lot of people are very desperate right now and have bills to pay. And so at the end of the day, after like, let's say 3 to 9 months, they'll take anything. Especially after a year, they will work anywhere because they just need some sort of income coming in. And it's very unfortunate that a lot of firms do this. They don't pay people living wages. They pay them the absolute lowest that they can. And for a lot of people, especially people who have 4-year college degrees, it's very insulting. It's just like, I went to school. Why are you trying to pay me something that is meant for someone who has no education whatsoever?
So I just found out that California's minimum wage is like $20 from this customer that was at the restaurant I work at, because he just finished basic training and that's where he's from. He's from Sacramento. Now he's in South Carolina, which like downgrade, let me tell you. But then I was telling him like, yeah, like our minimum wage is $7.25 compared to your $20. He was like, oh, what about the servers? When I gagged him, I told him, oh, the servers get $2.13. He was like, an hour? I was like, yeah, 2.13. 2.13 per hour. He had no clue. I'm pretty sure I saved the bartender, because once that guy was like $2.13 an hour, he scratched out the tip number and put something more, because I was just there to eat. I wasn't working that day. But then I was like, oh, what about your servers? He was like, oh yeah, they get paid the minimum wage on top of tips. California, what the fuck is going on? Y'all get paid $20 an hour plus tips? Y'all get paid $20.00 an hour plus tips, depending on what restaurant you're working at? And someone had to jump into me, oh, but the cost of living. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a gaff about the cost of living if I'm making $20 an hour plus tips. I will live in the ghetto. I don't care. If I'm making 20, I have never, and I told him, yeah, the most I've ever been paid was $15 an hour. I thought I was rolling in dough. Hated that job. Worst job I've ever had. It's on the bottom of my list. I've had maybe, 10, 12 jobs since I was 15 years old. That was the worst job I've ever had. $15 an hour. I loved the money. $20 an hour minimum. What the F? And now I'm like, okay, what are all the other states' minimum wages?
I want to talk about fast food. And this is probably going to be a really unpopular opinion. Or maybe it won't. Maybe you agree with me, but some people are probably going to be mad about this. But fast food jobs are minimum wage jobs. And I lived in Washington State for 36 years. I now live in Texas. It's a very different cost of living for different reasons. Minimum wage is substantially different. And while the minimum wage down here is astronomically low, and according to obviously the cost of living now is ridiculous, but most places don't really pay the minimum wage anymore. However, the minimum wage in Washington State, last I knew, was 13, 14 bucks an hour. Someplace around Seattle or whatnot is 15 plus. Some places I saw were even paying like McDonald's workers like upwards of 20, whatever, like crazy wages, right? And I don't believe that it's fair to have a fast food job and like an office administrative type job or some kind of a job that requires a degree, minimally an AA of some kind, to pay the same, right? Because if you went to college, you have all these skills, all this stuff, those jobs should obviously pay more because you invested in yourself in order to get that job. Or you have many years of experience that allow you to move up into management type roles, things like that. But fast food jobs in and of themselves, should not be really high paying jobs. They are entry level positions, typically things that high schoolers might do, not difficult jobs to get. But it is a service industry and it is difficult and you do have to work quickly and you do have to deal with a lot of people's demands. But the thing about that is that if you're working in a job where you are demanding more, you also need to rise to the occasion. Because if you yourself are not an excellent worker who provides excellent service to those people, even if they're cranky, because I know that people come in making really ridiculous demands and are awful, but our society has gotten to this place where they feel like they get to treat people however they want when they work in a service industry. And part of that service industry is, yes, you need to uphold the policies and the rules of that company, but customer service is not about making everybody happy and giving them what they want all the time. And I think that's what people mistake about what customer service actually is. Customer service is helping that person in that situation in a way that they leave satisfied even if they don't get what they want. And that all depends on how you treat them in that situation. And I really had decided that I liked customer service when I was in my 20s because I liked the fact that even though I knew what the policies were and I knew how to uphold those things, I could still treat a person with respect, with kindness, speak to them in a way that they understood, that they felt heard, and you did everything that you could within that scenario, even if they could not 100% get what they want. But we live in a society now where everybody thinks that whoever screams the loudest is the most right. And that's not true at all. And sometimes people are going to come into your workplace, they're going to scream and holler at you because they're upset and it makes them feel better. But what diffuses a situation is if you know how to handle that in a way that it doesn't escalate, that the police don't get called, that things don't get thrown, hands, food, whatever the case may be. And it takes a special skill to not be the person that escalates a situation like that. And in entry-level jobs, obviously the pay is not great, but that's how you graduate out of those types of jobs, or you become a manager or something, because you know how to regulate your own emotions and handle things appropriately. So the fact that people who are working in these entry-level positions are demanding a certain amount of money or tips or whatever it is, but their behavior does not justify that pay or those tips, like, I'm sorry, but fast food is not an industry in which you should be tipping, because the pay is what the pay is. You do a very minimal job. You make an order, you hand it to that person. It's not that difficult. The hardest thing about a service industry is typically the speed in which you need to do it and being able to talk to people in a respectful way. But those are all skills that build into other careers or other things that you can take that knowledge into another job and graduate out of that. It's not necessarily intended to be a lifelong job unless you get into a management type position. So people need to realize that when they are getting into these lower paying jobs, if you feel like you are better than that, then your behavior needs to show it, and it needs to not be your lifelong goal to stay at that job. It's, I'm going to take whatever it is that I can learn from this experience. I'm going to take the pay that they're offering me from this, and once I've grown past that, I'm going to take it, I'm going to move on to something else. So we need to eliminate the expectations and the entitlement of, I deserve this because I have to live. Well, great, but and yes, we all want to live and we all would like to make amazing wages, but you need to realize what type of a job that you're in, and you need to hold yourself to the highest accountability within that role if you want to be looked at as anything more than just an entry-level worker who makes minimum wage. So take that into consideration. There's nothing wrong with being in the service industry. We appreciate those people for doing that work, and customers really need to treat those people better. But you as a service worker have a responsibility to treat even the worst people with kindness if you want to be considered as anything more than just an entry-level fast food worker. But there's a stigma that comes with that, and as time has gone on, the more that I see of people who work within the industry, their behavior and their responsibility to their job is very lacking. So it doesn't matter what category job that you work in, you need to be your very best self if you want any other opportunities.
I actually agree with her. If you want higher pay, expect to do more. Expect to go above and beyond. But the issue with this is that all of these firms expect you to do above and beyond work and are not willing to pay you for the extra work that you do. And so at the end of the day, you end up doing a lot more work for the same amount of pay. You get paid the same amount, and yet you are out here working overtime. You're literally doing it all, and you're doing your job very well. And yet these firms, they don't see that. All they see is, yes, we got a hard work out here, and they don't pay you for that extra work. They refuse to recognize your hard work. And that is the most frustrating part. I don't mind working hard. I don't mind going above and beyond, but please compensate me for that. And if you don't, I am going to do the bare minimum.
Minimum wage is not meant to support a family. I know you're not talking to me, but what is it? What is the minimum wage meant to do then? Answer that. Riddle me that. Riddle me what minimum wage is supposed to do. It's work that needs to be done by a company, but they're exploiting people. Are you going to disagree with me on that? Are you actually going to disagree with me on that? I could talk all fucking day about the amount of education that teachers have to have just to make $40,000 a year, $50,000 a year, a minimum bachelor's degree, minimum bachelor's degree to start out making maybe $40,000 a year, depending on where they live. Are you really gonna fucking say what is the minimum wage meant to do? What is it meant to do?
Sometimes I wonder if our country thinks that poor people should just die. I say this because our federal minimum wage is $7.25, and even though in a lot of states it's higher than that, right? Like, for example, I'm from New York City and it's $16.50 right now. Even with that, you would be living in poverty. And I don't think it's crazy to think that people who work minimum wage jobs should not be living at the poverty line. And then they tell the poor to go to college so you don't end up in a minimum wage job. So you go to college, you take out hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and then you work a minimum wage job throughout college to pay for it and interest, right? And then you get out of college even more in debt than you were prior. And then best case scenario, you do get a job straight out of college and then you spend 20 plus years paying it back. Yeah, that definitely does sound like the American dream, and I cannot wait to continue living it.
I don't know, but minimum wage should be like $25. Like, why is nobody talking about this? Minimum wage should not be fucking $16 an hour. It should be like 25, 30, easy.
Everything's so expensive, but wages are still the same. And then everybody wondering why people walking around mad. I'll be mad too. I can't get anything because I don't have no money. And when I do have money, I have to get things that I couldn't get when I didn't have money. And the total $85,000.
Okay, so I just bought this Gatorade for $3 and some change, close to $4, right? The minimum wage here in Tifton, Georgia is $5 and some change, to be exact. I think it's like $5.15 or something like that. And that hasn't changed since 2009. Now, with that said, the federal government comes in and says, wait, everybody has to make a minimum of $7.25. So then the federal government basically will up everyone's pay to $7.25, or make the places up everyone's to $7.25. That is so low. That has not been changed since 2009. We are in 2025. Why has that not been changed? I hear about all the funding that's going to go where I'm from into this new building for the sports. Our sports have not won in over 20 years for football. And I'm not being ugly. That is just the truth. So let's be realistic here. We're going to pour more money into a football or sports program. We're already paying our coach, who hasn't been winning, so much money, along with the principals, so much money, but yet our entire community is making $7.25 an hour because of federal law, but really it's 5 something. Y'all, that is not okay. And I'm just so grateful I work for a company that's in Florida that pays me like I'm supposed to be paid, or else I would not be able to afford to live anywhere. Especially, you would think, because the cost of living is down here, it would be better, but it's not, because people can't save money. They can't save if they don't have any type of income to save on. That is not an income, y'all. That is just an insult. So I'm posting this video. Please share it. I hope it gets out there. These small towns cannot continue to get away with robbing the people who are working tirelessly to support the community, keep the community going. We would not have a town if it weren't for the hard-working men and women of America. So please, please, please share this video. Let people know that we need to audit everyone. If we're auditing the federal government, why aren't we auditing these small states, or all the states actually? Because realistically, the oil pulls down. You know, when you pour oil on someone, it flows down from the head to the toes. So if the head is messing up and making bad decisions with our money, why shouldn't we believe the rest of the body is, right? It is. We know it is. If there's no other way, we've seen the scandalous things. It needs to be, I think we need to have Doge for everything. I don't think it needs to be just for the federal government. I think we need to have a Doge for every single state of the United States. And that's where I stand. So if you agree with me and you want to see where your money's going, where your taxpayer dollars are going, please, please, please share this video. And yeah, show me some love, because at this point, I just feel sorry for the people, and I feel like I need to say something. So y'all have a blessed day.
Is this an unpopular opinion? Please let me know. I went for an interview the other day, and they kind of just told me, like, right on the spot, like, oh yeah, by the way, like, most of our, like, employees don't really take breaks. They'll work, like, 8 hours with no breaks because they just don't have time. Should the employer not be bringing more people on? Oh, well, they just can't afford it because they're small business. Then they shouldn't be open. I'm not saying you need to pay your employees, like, double minimum wage, but if you're paying the minimum wage and not even giving them a goddamn break, and then wonder why they no-show you, why they don't show up, why they just randomly quit, you are the problem. You are the fucking issue. Take a look in the mirror. Would you want to work 8 hours and not fucking take a break? Not go to the bathroom? Not have anything to eat? Not anything to drink? Because you're just so busy you can't stop because your employee didn't bring in enough people? Would you fucking want to do that? No, obviously not, or else you would cover their goddamn breaks. Unpopular opinion? I don't fucking know. Probably not, though.
At some jobs, you have a paid lunch, and so you are still expected to work while on lunch. And so if work is slow, have your lunch right there. There's not an issue with it. Even me, I have a paid lunch. When things are slow, I eat. When things are slow, I have a really long lunch. And I take my time, and I eat in peace.
In my mind, there are like different tiers of minimum wage jobs. Like McDonald's, Starbucks, Aritzia. Those are like the Ivy Leagues of like minimum wage jobs. It is so hard to like get a job at one of those places. Every other job is just like there, you know, like.
So Trump proposes that we raise minimum wage up to $18
an hour. Now, I feel like this could be a good thing, but it also could be a bad thing. It could be a good thing because this might be the one thing that motivates y'all to get up and get a job. So that's good, you know what I'm saying? That's a good start for the pay raise. It could be bad though because it can cause more inflation. And the last thing we need right now is more inflation. Do you hear me? I mean, because it's just ridiculous. I mean, right now, you ask around, most people have more than one job. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have more than one job to get the rent, the groceries, etc. So if he goes ahead and he raises it to 18, that might really help. That might help a lot of y'all out. We can pay the rent, we can get the groceries, we don't need no assistance. You know what I'm saying? So what do y'all think? Tell me in the comments, would y'all go ahead and get a job if they starting pay was $18 an hour? Or do y'all still pass? Let me know.
$25 an hour minimum wage for everybody in America. Come on now, y'all. Come on, sip a little tea with Auntie. Let's talk about it. I'm fresh off wake up, y'all. Peeping my inbox 5 or 6. Auntie, did you see what Donald Trump is supposed to increase minimum wage to $25 for everybody? Come on now. If it happens, y'all, minimum wage has been $7.25 in my state for umpteen years now. Ain't nothing changed about it. Even with us that work and get paid maybe double minimum wage, y'all, it still don't seem like we make that type of money anyway because things are so high. So imagine if we do bump up to $25 an hour. Baby, the cost of living still gonna dumb down that money. Do you understand how that goes? Baby, if you making that much money, the rent people gonna go up. Your mortgage gonna go up. The cost of gas gonna go up. The cost of food is already high, but it's gonna go up. The cost of clothing gonna go up. All necessities and essentials that you have to have is gonna go up to reflect that $25 you getting. So you still ain't gonna see the money. I said it, y'all. I said it. Y'all got to start thinking with these noggins, man, to understand how this stuff goes. Because I can remember a time when minimum wage was $4.15. I worked at McDonald's, y'all. I was able to put $20 in a Toyota Corolla, baby. Ride the town down all day long, bumping music with my friends for no point at all. Just something we did. We was cool. Riding all day long for 2 weeks at a time off that $120, baby. Do you hear me? It reflected, you know, what I was making. The cost of things was cheaper, so $4 was the bomb.com. I got $600. That lasts me all month. Baby, try that now in these days and time when everything is reflecting higher, y'all. Take that into consideration. That's all I'm saying. Thank y'all for sipping a little more tea with Auntie. Bye, y'all.
Yeah, the reality is actually much worse than this. Not only can you not buy a house working minimum wage or anywhere close to minimum wage, but nowhere in the US can anyone working minimum wage afford a 2-bedroom apartment. You would have to work an average of 96 hours per week. To actually be able to comfortably afford a 2-bedroom apartment, you would have to make $24 an hour. It is so interesting to me that middle and lower income folks look down on and criminalize people without homes without recognizing that the vast majority of us live with housing insecurity. We are one catastrophe away from being in the same boat. We are struggling as a society without livable wages. Our mental health, our physical health, our peace of mind, all at stake. If you've been feeling the crunch of this, you are not alone and you are not crazy.
I appreciate you guys watching the video today. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.